What up, everybody? It's your boy Aaron coming to you again from First and Faithful. Thank you for tuning in. In today's video, we're going to go over quarterback Jimmy Garoppolo, some of his strengths, weaknesses, where I see him going from last year to next year and beyond. We'll go over some comments Coach Shanahan recently made about Jimmy G, how he sees him improving, kind of where he sees him improving, and kind of go over all that, my expectations, etc. But before we get into that, please don't forget to like, share, subscribe. If you want to hit me over on Twitter, First and Faithful. Love interacting with you guys. Your ideas, your thoughts, your comments. Please hit me up day or night. It's always a fun. But let's get into it. Jimmy Garoppolo. What can you say? Jimmy GQ had a very good season last year. Obviously, came up a little bit short, but I think the improvement he made as the season went on, and coming off of that ACL, huge injury, the expectations off of that 5-game winning streak, and then getting hurt, and then coming into this season, a lot of unknowns. Obviously, it had kind of a really rough preseason. First game where it looked bad. There was reports to do 5 interceptions in one of the camps, and just I think it really fed into that polarizing thing with Jimmy Garoppolo this year, where you have, and you still have the two groups, right? You have two groups. You have the never Jimmy, right? He's kind of a bum. He's a cog of the machine. He's a product of the system. He's, it's more Shanahan. The team rose him up. They lifted him, not the other way around. That kind of thing. And then you have the Jimmy G, the always Jimmy G's, right? The man walks on water. He is the greatest quarterback. How dare you think that any quarterback could do any better, etc. That kind of, it seems to be if you've been on Facebook, I know it'd be on your Facebook, or you've been on Twitter or group chat, those kind of things. That's what you see, and it's just in the fans. Forget about outside of Niner fandom. Just in Niner fandom itself, it seems to be those two groups, and it's always entertaining when that conversation starts. And you saw it throughout the season, right? He had the bad preseason to start. People were like, oh, he's a bum. Nick Mullen, maybe we should start Nick. And as he played first couple of games, he didn't really do a whole lot. Second game he did a little more, and it was every interception, every bad pass, everything was just dissected. It was kind of amazing considering he went 13-3, got him to the Super Bowl, one overthrow away from possibly winning it. It's amazing what one throw can do for your career. Hits that throw, they win the game. It's a different conversation, right? Every time you go on Twitter, someone's Jimmy G like, he missed that one throw. It's always about that one throw. He overthrew one. It's that. It's amazing how that can define your entire career up to this point. For me personally, Jimmy is very good. He's in that class of very good quarterbacks. He's not elite. There's that elite top, and then I think Jimmy's right below that. For me, he brings almost a quiet swagger. Like, he's got that kind of almost that gunslinger thing, which is a plus and a negative. We'll get into that later, but he brings that kind of swagger to it. And I gotta say, he was clutch when he needed to be. He showed up big in big games, and I think that's the big time quarterback show up in the big time games, right? He showed up big in the Seattle game to clinch the 1 seed. He showed up big, in the Sunday night football game against the Packers, against the Saints, right? He had to, going into the season, he said, "Hey, you're going to have to win a shootout with the Saints." I don't think too many fans will say, "Yeah, we can do that." Even going into that game, he said, "Hey, you're going to put 45 plus points to win this game." If I say, "Hey, the Saints are going to score 45 plus points," most fans will be like, we probably lose there. I don't know if we can match and beat that. So, he showed up big in those big games, even against the Ravens, and that just terrible the downpour. He made some big time plays. He showed up huge in big games. So for me, he's at very, very good class, not elite, but very good. And I think we're going to see. For me, I think I don't want to say the sky's the limit, but for me, it is very well in the realm of possibility to see him make that leap from very good to elite, and from just from a statistical standpoint, challenge for an MVP award. And I know some people are like, wow, that's kind of crazy, but for me, it's not. He was basically at 4,000 yards, 27 touchdowns. I mean, this is a year coming off the ACL injury. That's behind him now. Another year in the system. I think being able to watch the last year's, game tape of the whole season, right? He started all 16 regular season games, started 3 playoff games, and being able to see it, because you got to remember before that, the year before, he only started 3 games, got hurt against KC, so he really only had like 2 games worth of film. Now he can really see the film, how defenses are playing him, different defenses, and really kind of see, he can look at him. Sure, Shanahan, is also saying, like, here's where you need to be better on this, and so on and so forth. The ability to really see that and really break down his strengths, his weaknesses on film against defense, I think is just huge to be able to see that, moving forward, where he can really just kind of see it. Okay, I remember that play. I can make these adjustments. And so for me, year two being completely in this system is going to be, assuming health is good. They have playmakers. You still have Kittle. You have Debo, who came into his own once we hit the playoffs, and regular season good. Then you saw in the Super Bowl, Brandon Ayuk. On the side note, I love Emmanuel Sanders and what he brought to the team from a leadership position. I think Debo, Kittle, I think those guys, Kendrick Bourne, are ready to kind of take that step. They learned from him. They're ready to take on that leadership role. And I think, honestly, from a production standpoint, I don't see any reason why Brandon Ayuk cannot best Sanders' production. A lot of his production came in 2 games: the Saints game and the first Cardinals game on Halloween. Those were, if you take, though, that account for more than half of his production yards wise, I believe catch wise, and also touchdown wise. The other games he was there. He had a couple catches here and there, but wasn't a huge. His biggest impact was in the locker room, teaching guys like Debo and Kendrick and those guys how to be professionals. And I think that's, now that they've learned from him, they're ready to take that. So I know a lot of people thought that the loss of Emmanuel was this big deal. To me, I'm not as worried by it, because I think they took those lessons and now they can carry it forward, right? So I think just the offense, Brandon Ayuk, I love that addition. You have him and Debo, kind of the same kind of guy. The defense, how do you plan against that? Which one's taking the jet sweep? Which one's, it adds wrinkles, right? If you have them both on the field. Kendrick's still a red zone beast, always good for a first down. And you have the other guys come back. Jalen Hurd, who, we don't know what he is going to be, what he can't, Trent Taylor, who in that first season with him and Garoppolo obviously had a connection, great in the slot, first down guy. He comes back healthy. There's this Pettis make go back to what he was. Juwan Jennings, the rookie. There are a lot of the quote unquote proven guys that I think that's good with Kittle to start, and then you add in some of those pieces, Jalen Hurd, Trent Taylor back, the rookies, and all of a sudden it's like, my God, and you give someone like Shanahan, who is an offensive genius, the opportunity to work with a full deck, if you will. That is that is deadly with Jimmy, who knows the offense. And it was something that Shanahan pointed out. He had some comments with NBC Sports Bay Area, and he said, I can tell his thoughts are a lot clearer because he's not worrying about an ACL and rehabbing, right? Huge. He's 100% focused and getting better mentally from knowing the offense, from just knowing defense. And that's that jump, right? Having actually went through 16 games plus the playoffs, high intense games, right? But a lot of, not only do you play the 3 playoff games, including the Super Bowl, but he played he played the Packers in the regular season as a playoff team, played the Seahawks twice, played the Saints, he played and played the Ravens. He played 5 playoff teams in the regular season, so played a lot of big time games. And I think just knowing, playing top talent, right? Shanahan went on, Jimmy's learned the offense. He's fine with that. It's just being automatic. It's understanding coverages, going through everything where I can't tell you how much more I know as a coach in year 17 or whatever than I did in year 2. That never stops. And that goes into that leap, right? I One of Jimmy's, I think his weakness is he has that gunslinger. I mentioned earlier, he has that gunslinger in him a little bit. He locks onto a read and he fires. And he made some plays this year, if you're being perfectly honest. I know I'm being perfectly honest, where you just had to say, what the fuck, bro? Where is that going? What were you thinking? And I'm sure Shanahan probably would say, yeah, what were you thinking on that? What the, you know? And so I think he has a little, but I think that's, again, knowing the offense better, knowing defense better, like I said, knowing the coverages better, right? You know, understanding where the coverages are going and just having that better understanding of more the defense and what they're doing, right? He knows the offense, but then the other half of that, and just as important, maybe more important, is what the defense is doing, right? You can understand what your side is doing, but if you don't know what you can't read the defense. It doesn't matter how well you know the playbook. I'm sure every quarterback that's failed probably knows their own playbook, but couldn't read the defense and makes bad reads, throwing into triple coverage or not seeing that linebacker just stand, those kind of things. So I think you have that next season, going into next season, that he will be able to be much better at that. Again, looking at the game. So, I mean, you look at his stats, finished the last season tied for 5th in TDs, 4th in completion percentage, 3rd in yards per attempt, 12th in QBR. It was pretty good. The only, again, it comes down to interception percentage. I think he was at 2.7 interception percentage, which was 25th in the NFL. Not good, obviously. Needs to improve on that. I think that's, again, him maybe not reading the defenses as well and just trying to fit a ball, and anybody who watched someone like Brett Favre, knows that sometimes that works and it's magic when it does, but when it doesn't, you look dumb, honestly. So that's something I think he needs to clean up, because with the weapons he has and with especially with the defense coming back, he doesn't need to make those throws. He can, if he locks that in, drops that percentage down, I don't see any reason he can't get up to 4,500, 4,600 yards. He had 27 touchdowns last year. I could see him easily getting that up to 32, 33, and dropping the interceptions down. Completion rate, I don't know how much better you get. He was at 69.1. Maybe he gets to 70, but if he keeps it at 69.1 or right in that range, I think that's fine. Just bring the interceptions down, bring the touchdowns up a little bit more. Being better in the red zone, and hopefully with Juwan Jennings, Jalen Hurd, some of those bigger receivers, hopefully they kind of get better in the red zone. But I personally, like I said, 4,600 yards, 4,600 yards, which over 16 games is only 30 yards a game, 34 yards a game. It's not that much when you break down on a per game basis. It really isn't that much. And just bringing up the touchdowns, to me that's an MVP type season. Obviously, depending on how the team does record wise, that's an MVP type season. And if he can make that jump with the defense, assuming the defense stays where it was, or who knows, gets better, there's no reason to think that the team can't obviously be competing for a Super Bowl again this season. One advantage they do have is pretty much the entire staff stayed over. A lot of the players, from last season to this season, you have some rookies obviously, but coaching staff wise, everybody stayed the same. So I think they'll have an easier time transitioning over, as opposed to some teams who have new coaches, new OCs, new DCs, all that, where it's a lot of changeover. You haven't been able to meet like you normally would because of COVID. Niners in a much better position. Most of their players are locked in, already know the playbook, offensively and defensively. Jimmy's worked with pretty much, except for the rookies, pretty much has worked with everybody. So I think it definitely helps. And if anything, gives them someone like Jimmy, a little more time to really look at that film and really see where he can get better. I'm sure him and Sham, have had some Zoom meetings where they're looking at film and really picking it apart and seeing where he can make the the leaps. So for me, MVP for Jimmy G, like, it rhymes, sounds good, rolls off the tongue. MVP for Jimmy G. Like, will it happen? I hope so, because if that does happen, that bodes very, very well for this offense and very, very well for the team. But you guys, let me know what you think. Drop me a comment down below. Let me know what your expectations are. Statistically wise, can he? To you guys, where does he rank right now in the quarterbacks? I say he's in that, for me, that very good block. He's not elite. He's like right below that. Can easily, for me, I think he can easily make that. You can see just by kind of dialing in a few things, he can easily make that jump, kind of like Matt Ryan did with Shanahan's his OC, making that jump. I think it's right there. It's very easily doable for him. But let me know what you guys think. Like I said, where he ranks for you. Your projection for his numbers for the season. And once again, thank you for tuning in. This is Aaron, and this is First and Faithful.